Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to cover the importance of doing a proper copy, and we're going to do this using the array that I did originally, the initial demo of an array that I did as our starting point. So instead of printing out every other essentially with different values, we're just going to change this so that it's going to print out the array value at every point in I so that we can see it. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to create a copy here of the array. So in the normal way that you want to kind of create a copy, this is the wrong way. What we would do is do int, and let's say that instead of ARR, we're going to call it BRR. We're going to say equals ARR. All right. So we just want BRR to be the exact same as ARR. So what's going to happen then if we print this out? Now keep in mind, if we're initializing a array to the size of 10, which is what BRR kind of looks like it should be right now, it should have a bunch of zeros for all of its values, right? So if we do this, and I also want to make sure that we're printing out the fact that this one is array A, right? And then here we're going to print out that this is array B, just so that we can see clearly where each of these is coming from. All right, so now when I run this, you would initially think that maybe my ARR is getting updated. So remember here in this loop, we're setting the value to be equal to its position in the array, and that with BRR, we kind of think that it should probably just be a copy of what ARR was originally. But when we run this, you will see, well, first I need to make sure I get my semicolons. I keep missing those today. Let's go ahead and run this again. All right, so now we see that we have all the same values. So B is also getting set when A is getting changed. And that's not exactly what we want. So with an array like this, what we really want to do is we want to copy it differently. So if we're going to copy the array up here in this spot, we just want BRR to be the same size as ARR and the same type. What we're going to do, instead of setting it this way, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to say for an array, we want it to be new int, and we want it to be the same length. So we're just going to do ARR.length so that we can set it to the same length. Now when we do this, since we actually want it to be an empty array, we can see that this is actually going to make that happen. We're creating a brand new object instead of making a copy to the same reference, where instead of ARR and BRR pointing to the same array, we instead have ARR pointing to an array that we created and BRR pointing to a new array that happens to have the same length. Now, if ARR was already instantiated with values, so let's say we ran this loop here, and we wanted to copy BRR after this, well, first we need to make sure we get the length right, because we have to do that. But then we would write another loop. So for int I equals 0, right? I less than the length of BRR, right? And then I plus plus, so that we make sure we increment by 1. We want to do BRR at I is equal to ARR at I. And now let's say that we also needed to change the, oh, I need to get that semicolon in there. I see my little red squiggly line there. Let's say that I also wanted to change the value of ARR at 1 to be 0. I want it to be 0 as well. So the first two values of ARR should be 0, and the first two values of BRR should be what we had them as originally, which would be 0 and 1. So if we run this, you'll see that we actually get a proper copy this time of the array. So we got 0, 0, 0 for the first three, which is what we expected, and then B's position 1 is 1. So that's how you do a deep copy of an array.